Hello everyone, welcome back. So we're using the burp suite, and what I did in the previous video for project number 6, module 6, I changed the port on the proxy listeners. I changed the port to 8080, and I've been turning it on and off, and if you go to alerts you can see a little bit of history there, right? It started with 8081 when it came up by default, then I stopped it. Then I started 8080, and at one point I stopped it and I started it again. So what you got to do is make sure that this box is checked because it's running, it's looking for port 8080. And also when I added port 8080, I did a self-signed certificate. I used this option, right? That's what I did. What we're going to do next is we're going to start to use it. So before we do that, we got to know a couple of things. We're going to be running an emulator, but before we do that, let's take a look at our IP address. And you do that with this command that comes all the way back from Unix and is also implemented in Linux. Is the ifconfig for interface config, and basically it gives you all kinds of networks information. And for those of you, and I'm sure all of you, most likely all of you, have taken network classes before. This is a network 400 level class, networks 411. So by now you've taken networks and IP protocol, learn about URLs and IP addresses and so forth. So the ifconfig will give you all kinds of information on that aspect, right, in that area. So Ethernet information, IP addresses. The one we want to note down right here is this one, the IP address that we have. And again, I'm referring back to the instructions for this class, and you want to note this address down. Write it down. The 10, by the way, 10.0, you see it looks like a strange number. That's because it's really a local address. This is not an address external to the internet. 10 is a very low number. But it is a local address, and that's what we're going to be doing here for our testing purposes. So it's 10.0.2.15. Note it down. So the other thing in your instructions, the other thing that they asked you to do in the instructions, they wanted you to see where the burp suite is stored. And in this machine, let's go to Arsenal and do ls. In this virtual machine, it comes pre-installed, and it's right here under Arsenal. So if I go to directory, all lowercase, and do ls, you can see you can see that the tool is stored over there. Okay, so that's all we need. That's all we need this terminal for, but the main thing is to note down that IP address 10.0.2.15. If I scroll up, you can see it, 10.0.2.15, because we're going to try to listen to that. We're going to be using it when we run the burp suite in a few seconds. So we exit here, we're done here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run an emulator. So like we did in week 2, for instance, we went to the Android AVD manager right there. And back in week 2, we used the test AVD. This time the instructions in your project ask for the ATAVD, this emulator right here, something that it was pre-installed for you. It's a platform 4.1, and anyway, so let's start that one. It will contain, let's just go ahead and launch it. It contains the applications that we're going to be using. So we're starting it right now. Let me move it to the right a little bit to get it just a little bit out of the way so I can see other things here in the background. So we have a few things running, right? I just started the emulator. If I go here, there's my burp suite. the Android virtual machine, which is running. We can close it now, but let's just make sure our Android emulator started, and then we're going to close this. It takes a little while. It's building a virtual machine within a virtual machine, actually, which is remarkable. So be patient. It's almost there. It's the first time that I run it. And by the way, just let you know, I went ahead and reinstalled my virtual machine because we did projects in weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I just wanted to start with a fresh machine. So I went and did what we originally did in week 1. I removed the virtual machine that I had. I just completely removed it. And I reinstalled the OVF file. So if you go back to week 1, I just did that. You don't have to. You can just continue using the virtual machine you've been using in all these projects. But I did because this is a brand new project that's studying the traffic analyzer. So we're almost there here. Let's see. Okay, oh, it started a little bit different than before. So the other emulator test AVD looked a little bit different. So this is like a different phone. I'm gonna close this other window here, and I'm just gonna minimize this one. So as you can see, I have the Burp Suite here in the background, and I have the emulator in the foreground. And so what I'm going to do is follow the instructions. So I go back to Canvas instructions that you have. And I'm going to do this in the next video. So far I got you to start the emulator. I show you the steps, and in the next video we're actually going to run something and test the Burp Suite. All right, and then I'll talk to you later. I'll come back.